Hello and welcome to Let's Replay. I'm Eurogamer's Ellie Gibson and I'm joined today by Alistair Beckett-King, indie developer, award-winning stand-up comedian and adventure games fan. Hello Alistair.
Hello Ellie.
Hello. What are we playing today?
We're playing Monkey Island 2 LeChuck's Revenge.
Ah, now why have you picked this Monkey Island in particular?
Because I think it's probably the best Monkey Island game and also the best game.
I'm very excited. Right, come on then, what's going on?
Alright, well, at the moment I am Guybrush Threepwood, who is a mighty pirate, and I'm looking for 4 map pieces in order to find the treasure of Big Whoop, and I can travel within 3 islands in what is known as the Tri-Island area. So I'm just going to go to my ship, which is captained by Captain Dread, who hilariously has dreadlocks, although when we were playing this as kids we all thought it was a woman, because the idea that a man could have long hair that was baffling. And the backgrounds in this, so this is it is by today's standards quite low resolution. It's only 320 pixels wide, but the backgrounds were hand drawn with felt tips and scanned in. That's quite new technology.
Really?
They were scanned into Deluxe Paint, so they have quite a sort of hand drawn feel compared to contemporary games, and they're much richer than a lot of the other games that were out at the time.
Wow, I didn't know, hand drawn. Is that how you make your adventure games nowadays, just for authenticity?
Yeah, that's right. I scratch them into rocks and then scan the rocks in. We go through a lot of scanners, but it is authenticity is what it's all about. That's what adventure game fans want.
Oh, now this looks like a party.
It does. And instead of trying to talk to all of these guests who prove to be vacuous, I'm going to pick up the first map piece. Which
there we go.
Belongs to Governor Marley. All right, I got the first map piece.
Thanks.
And try and make off with that.
So do you do all the voices in American accents?
Well, only because the game is American. Governor Marley has an English accent. Only because I'm doing a bad impersonation of Dominic Amato, who does Guybrush's voice in the later edition and the special edition, because of course these games were redrawn in HD and revoiced a couple of years ago. And
what did you think of the remake?
Well, it's hard to express how angry I am about how awful the graphics are.
I can sense the rage. It's radiating from you, Alistair, like a white heat.
Spraying out in every direction. It's just, it's so...
There's angry lava all over the computer.
I wouldn't want to go over the top, but I think it is the greatest crime in human history. Because they've just what they've done is they've paid people who obviously haven't got enough money or time to basically roughly draw over the original backdrop. So while this is, it's low res, but it's
really?
it's clearly uses strong art direction, and the composition of the scenes looks fantastic, and in its own terms it's a really beautiful game. The remake is very, very, very ugly, and it's a real travesty, which is a shame because the voice acting is good, and it's nice to have lovely voice acting in a retro game. I don't know why they made it HD if they didn't have the money to do it.
Oh, because everything's HD now, isn't it? You know, you can't. Supermarkets are HD, minicabs, everything. You can't get away from it. It drives me nuts. So what we up to?
Now we've met Elaine Marley. Can't you see how my heart has suffered? And she has a posh English accent. Do you want to do her?
Alright then.
Sometimes she has an American accent in some of the games, but that's wrong.
I like that it's very confident and kind of you to suggest that I do a posh English accent. That's really
well, only
amazing.
It's just she's the girl. Is it sexist of me to assume you should voice the girl?
Yeah, no, fair. No, I mean, you know, is this me now?
And this is me. You were right. I was a buffoon and a
Well, that's not the most stupid thing you've ever said. Is that posh enough? Maybe I should do my BBC shipping forecast
that's
voice.
Perfect, yeah. Won't you at least give me a second chance?
Oh, Guybrush, I know I shouldn't have anything to do with you, but there's something about your weakness and ineptitude that I find infectious.
Does that mean you're going to let me have the map?
South at Sierra, north at Sierra.
So
I should have known better.
Elaine is now very cross because we mentioned the map and she realises that's what we're here for.
If that map's all you care about. See, when she's cross, she gets a bit Lewisham again.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we've been chucked out of our ex-girlfriend's house with that sans map.
No, we've all been there.
But because I've played this game before, I'm going to go back upstairs and steal the ore from the wall. Well, I wouldn't want to imply that these games are difficult to win first time round if you didn't read a walkthrough yesterday to remind yourself of how to do it.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I remember like playing or trying to play adventure games, and just getting frustrated with a lot of them because, well, you could say they were difficult. You could say I wasn't very good at them because I wasn't very intelligent. I don't know, but this is a particularly difficult one, isn't it?
Well, I mean, I think that's for its time they were all difficult. This one is exceptional for having lots of really challenging puzzles, but being pretty fair. They do make sense. A lot of its rivals at the time were incredibly unfair and would arbitrarily punish you for choices which seemed perfectly reasonable at the time, or would turn out to be impossible to finish if you hadn't picked up the right object or talked to the right person without any hint that would be the case. But they certainly were big, and it was part of. I'm really having trouble picking this thing up. This is entertainment.
This is what you mean by
difficult. If you think clicking on the same piece of paper 9 times isn't fun, then adventure games may not be for you if you short attention span type. But you do a lot of work for little rewards, but little rewards like a really nicely animated map fluttering over an island. That is the kind of reward that I like. You know, the games. A lot of the game happens in your imagination while you're playing it. It's not about sort of getting kinetic responses like in an action game or a platform game. It's about having the story sort of build up as you go and enjoying in this case, really funny, well-written dialogue.
Yeah, it's not about a workable interface or anything like that, you know.
All right, now by saying that, what you've done is you've slightly criticised the SCUM interface, which is this thing at the bottom, in case people aren't aware, which is, objectively speaking, the worst interface possibly in the history of computer design, if not just adventure games.
You're not a man prone to exaggeration. That's one of the things I like about you.
No, I am the least exaggerating person in the history of at least Britain. So instead of, because this is a graphical adventure coming out of text adventures, the logical way to do that was, instead of having you type in, give the axe to the dwarf, to be able to create a sentence. So what I'm doing when I want to play is I'm using the or with the whole, and I've created a sentence by choosing a verb and choosing the nouns, which from a 21st century perspective is complete madness. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's so cumbersome. Why do you need open and close as separate verbs? It's impossible to open anything that's open. It's impossible to close anything that's closed. It's hugely cumbersome, but it's part of the evolution of the design, and a lot of people have a lot of nostalgia for this, but I think those people are worse than Nazis. Sorry, that was more a slight overstatement there.
Well, it's fine, we just bleep it or something. So
if it just goes worse than bleep, it'll sound like I said something even worse than Nazis.
So spoiler alert, we are looking at the end of the game.
Yes, this is the end of the game. It was released in 1991. If you haven't played it, it is your fault.
Yeah,
for not knowing how it ends.
You might as well just watch this and accept that you're never going to get around to it.
Exactly.
That's what I say.
Now, this is the classic switch on the light switch puzzle, which appears in lots of adventure games. I'm going to use light switch.
Of course, we didn't have walkthroughs in them days, did we?
No, I could never finish it as a child. I just had to wait 10 years until the internet was invented, and then find it. This is the zombie pirate LeChuck, the great villain of the Monkey Island franchise. And most of these games take place in the form of dialogue, so it's not really gaming as you would recognise it if you were into proper games with fun and everything. It's about funny dialogue. Would you mind not spitting so much when you talk? Excuse, I would normally.
That's wonderful.
Do the voice and help.
Now keep going.
You won't escape me this time. I escaped from you before. I can easily do it again. Not so fast.
I didn't realise it was set in Cardiff.
And in this game, it centres around voodoo magic, and I think LeChuck is about to try and attack us. Oh no, he's not. He's not. I thought he was about to attack us with a voodoo doll, but he isn't. He's about to announce that we are brothers in a slightly Star Warsy like way. That's not true.
Darth Vader is Luke Skywalker's brother. What?
Exactly. Well, because these are LucasArts, or rather Lucasfilm games, as it was then it became LucasArts, and now it doesn't exist anymore. They're full of in-jokes and references
to the fact that George Lucas only really ever had one idea.
Yeah. And what's lovely, I think, about these games is that I think they're far better than Star Wars. That's right, Internet, you heard me.
Whoa!
The LucasArts games. Yeah, exactly. Take that. It's not even. I don't. What's a Jedi? It doesn't matter.
Yeah, Jedi. These are pirates, mother.
Exactly. Yeah.
I should have said we're not allowed to swear.
We're not allowed to swear. That's good. That was you though. So.
Yeah. I just said mother. It's fine.
It's fine, and that which is a compliment.
Yeah,
really,
she's
isn't
just
it?
next door making the tea. Actually. Wow, better than Star Wars.
It is. No, all of these games I think are better than the film output of Lucasfilm. There's lots of charming games like Full Throttle and The Dig and the Indiana Jones games, which I don't think are as good. But yeah, I'm aware that that's nerd blasphemy. But
there's going to be angry letters if people ever wrote letters anymore.
I'm going to receive really annoyed telegrams.
Yeah. And of course, this was based on the film. So the film is based on this, which was based on the theme park ride.
The Pirates
is that right?
of the Caribbean. Yes, there's the Pirates of the Caribbean ride inspired this in the early '90s, and then it went on to inspire the film Pirates of the Caribbean.
God, that's so meta, isn't it? It's
It
doing
is.
my head in just thinking about it.
That said, I think one of the drafts of the script for the first Pirates of the Caribbean film was written by one of the people who once wrote a Monkey Island film, which never got made. So. How much
I've
this
just short-circuited.
Exactly.
I can't cope.
Yeah.
So you're an adventure game developer yourself these days?
Yes. Last year I ran a Kickstarter to make a small indie adventure game of my own, which I'm writing and animating. And that is it's quite bad. It is a pirate-themed adventure game, and up until this point I've been claiming to have never heard of Monkey Island, so that people couldn't accuse me of plagiarism, but I've now revealed that I spent almost all of the 90s playing it, which I suppose was probably obvious anyway.
You just got yourself in a whole lot of legal hot water, my friend.
Well, inspiration.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a tribute.
It's an homage. It's an homage.
It's an
Yeah.
homage.
Just because the main character's called Thighbrush Geekwood,
Yeah,
it's
exactly,
really a coincidence more than anything.
Well, what my game has is cute birds. You have a pirate who rescues cute birds. There are no tiny birds in Monkey Island. I don't know
Any
if
angry
anyone
birds?
would. What I did was I took Monkey Island and Angry Birds, and I thought let's infringe on some intellectual property.
I can hear that lawsuit winging its way across the wires,
jingling with the sound of money I don't have to pay for it.
So have the Monkey Games? Have the Monkey Island?
They're like the Hunger Games for monkeys.
Oh, that would be amazing.
I would watch it.
I would watch it. Have you seen Man vs Beast?
No, I haven't.
Oh, it's where like humans have to like compete against animals. So like an Olympic sprinter races a zebra. And stuff like that. I'm not making it up.
I think the problem with that is that a zebra could have no sense of victory, so I don't think it would have the incentive to really win. What you're doing is you're measuring a zebra's normal running speed against a man trying his hardest, and that's not correct.
Well, yeah, I mean, the zebra gets a false start. It's very dramatic. And then the zebra gets like a hamstring injury and they have to do it again. Honestly, I'm telling you, Google it. So has the game had much of an influence over your real life, is what I was going to say.
Yeah, I was just drinking some water there. That wasn't a dramatic pause. Yes, well, as an adventure gamer, I am perfectly happy to enter the same shop several times at different times in a day and ask the shopkeeper different questions and then not buy anything, or buy something and then try and trade it. I have no qualms about doing that.
I love that going into like Superdrug and trying to trade,
exactly. Where is the
socks
nearest
for some
inn?
ibuprofen or something.
yeah, exactly. And just carrying around bags of useless stuff. But at the Edinburgh Festival this year, I did my most proud achievement in life, which was I locked myself out of a flat. That's not the proud bit. That was quite a shameful bit. I posted we only had one set of keys. I posted my keys into the flat, thinking that there were still people in there, and then realised that I was the last person in the flat and that I had just locked us all out of the flat. And so what I did was I grabbed all the things I had around me that I thought could be useful and applied an adventure gamer brain to them. So I got all the chewing in my pocket. I chewed that up and then blobbed it onto the end of a mop to create a disgusting sort of prong with a gooey end. And then I fed it through the letterbox, and using my phone like a mirror, my phone camera, I did this sort of the crane grabber game thing. And I managed to blob my keys and painstakingly inch them up and back out. And that I think if I had been a first-person shooter fan, I would have just smashed the door down.
That's genius. You're like a sort of pre-Raphaelite MacGyver.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I am. The pre-Raphaelite thing doesn't make sense if you can't see me. But
yeah, I was Google
look exactly
him,
like a lot of paintings.
You know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah. So how do you think the adventure genre has moved on, or not? I suppose since the Monkey Island games?
Well, it's a weird thing. It hasn't really, it hasn't evolved a great deal. It's the adventure games have declined hugely after the 90s. They were a mainstream type of game in the 90s, regularly appearing in the top 10 gaming lists, and that's changed. What's weird is that I think the number of people playing adventure games now is probably greater than it was in the 90s. It's just that gaming has absolutely exploded, and so loads more people are playing games now, but there is still a really big fan base of people who like games which are a little bit more contemplative or a little bit more narrative. It's also the case, I suppose, that narrative elements have crept in, well, more than crept into to action games and strategy games, and so the best bit about adventure games you can now get from other types of games, so they're less, we don't need them as much, but I think they still have a huge amount to offer, and the fact that there is still a market out there means that with the advent of Steam and other kinds of digital distribution, it's now possible for tiny indie developers to put together a much sort of a smaller and stripped down version of the big games of the 90s. But I think there are as many really great, inventive and beautiful games being made now as there were in the 90s. I think we live in another golden age of adventure games. It's just not everybody notices. I'm going to give White Hanky to LeChuck.
Have you got a LeChuck voice?
LeChuck talks kind of like this, like a bad impression.
Like he lives in Brooklyn!
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, LeChuck was actually in The Sopranos season 4, I don't know if you remember.
Yeah, they used complex CGI to get rid of the pirate sound. Well, I think it was worth it.
Oh, look at that. See, that's when violence was violence.
Yeah, exactly. That the kids these days.
Yeah, take that, Mortal Kombat.
Was that is there a new Mortal Kombat, or was that an old reference to an old game?
That was a reference to the old one. Where
yes.
Do you remember with the spurting? You must remember the spurting.
There was a lot of blood around, wasn't there? In the old Mortal Kombat. I'm now trying to mix all of these things in a lovely juju bag, which will allow me to make a voodoo doll. Right. What has happened there is I accidentally drank breathed in the helium, and they've done a high voice joke, which was very difficult to do in the days before voicing in games. And they did it with a smaller font, which I didn't know. That's very clever. That's hard work.
I can see why you love this game. I mean,
and now I'm going to. This is the final element of a voodoo doll. I'm going to place that into the juju bag. And
I'm very excited. It's a very tense moment for me. Can you feel the tension?
Yeah, I can feel it from here, and we're standing on the opposite side of a grand hall.
Yeah, good job we got 2 mics, isn't it?
Guybrush and a butler to ferry notes between us. Come on, LeChuck.
Oh, okay, here he is. Here we go.
Can I do this fast enough? Use Epidemic syringe with root beer. That was the wrong one. Use it. I didn't make it. Another great thing about this interface that. Sometimes the idea is there, but if you're a clumsy clicker, you don't always. Clumsy clicker sounds worse than it is.
I think that's one of the enemies in The Last of Us. I'm not sure.
There we go. Let's see it. Here we go.
Stab him in the face. Stab it. Sorry, it's an adventure game, isn't it? I got carried away.
You just have to let the gentle violence wash over you. Now the player is rewarded for all their hard work with some slightly gory, low-res pixel animation.
He's down. Is that it? Is that the end of the...
And this
God, I thought the dog was going to eat his face then. See, I've played too many modern games.
1991. Nobody could eat anyone's face back in those days. We're leaning towards, having found out the revelation that LeChuck is Guybrush's brother, we then move towards what is one of the most controversial and dramatic elements of the Monkey Island franchise, which is the ambiguous ending of Monkey Island 2, which I think we're probably going to reveal now.
Oh, I'm very excited.
You'll just rip out my lungs when I get close.
No, I promise. Please come, take off the mask.
Did you used to do the voiceovers for Saturday morning cartoons in the 1980s? Because I definitely think I remember this from Ulysses 31.
I was a very small child then, but I had a very deep voice for a child, and it was a good source of secondary income. My main job as a child, being a child.
That's the favourite. How come you hate me as much as you obviously do?
Well, you remember the time you broke my Junior Ultra Soldier Commando assault vehicle?
Remember when TM was like a funny joke? Putting TM on the end of anything was hilarious.
I think Monkey Island invented that. Monkey Island puts TM on the end of almost everything because everything exists in a sort of fairground Disney-like world. It's a nice piece of sort of satire on the commercialised version of fun.
I think we should try that in stand-up. Do a punchline, then just go TM.
Trademark. That's one of mine. Don't use that.
It could be the new boom.
The new boom. You're right. A lot of people end sentences with boom.
Oh, yeah, we need a new boom.
Stop ending sentences with boom, guys. Boom. It does have emphasis. It works. Hey, you kids.
Who's that?
You're not supposed to be in here. He looks like a Muppet, I think.
I was going to say Hitler, but whatever.
Well, if Hitler was a Muppet, I would just show why Hitler was a Muppet.
We've invented two monkey games and Hitler Muppets.
Hitler Muppets. That's really good. It's our parents, and we've turned back into children. Our parents are asking how we're going. I stole a bunch of stuff and caused 2 explosions is the accurate response, but they hilariously say no, sir. And so this is the somewhat... It's not controversial exactly, but The Secret of Monkey Island is the first game and is famous for not revealing the secret of Monkey Island.
Right.
And LeChuck's Revenge, an opportunity to resolve finally what the secret of Monkey Island is, doesn't resolve it at all, and in fact LeChuck and you turn into children, and then everything turns out to have been a weird sort of game.
Oh, it's basically Lost.
Is that what happens at the end of Lost? We're ruining everything here.
Have you seen Lost?
I haven't seen Lost.
You watch it for about 100,000 hours thinking they're going to reveal, it's going to be really exciting, it's going to be good, we're going to find out something amazing, and then it's not amazing. Let's just say that. It's the opposite of amazing. Unamazing. Is that a word? I don't know.
Denazing.
It's de-amazing, and yeah, it sort of makes you want to kill yourself. So do you ever find out...
The ending of this doesn't make you want to kill yourself. All that happens is LeChuck walks out, your little brother Chucky, and then he does an evil face to camera, which suggests that perhaps Guybrush is still under the voodoo thrall of LeChuck. Of course, there are later games which find their ways of resolving this ending, but those games weren't written by the pioneer of these games, which was... pioneer is completely the wrong word. Lead designer of these, which was Ron Gilbert. The rest of the games were made without him, and so hardcore fans don't consider that to count and are still waiting for what Ron Gilbert has termed Monkey Island 9, The Secret of Monkey Island, or Your Money Back, or something like that, which is a never to be made game which he occasionally blogs about, causing flutters of excitement in the hearts of anyone who was a nerd in the 90s.
Oh, well, there we go. As a nerd in the 90s myself, you know, yeah, that was good fun. Thanks for playing, Alistair.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.